So this video is going to be more about straight line graphs. So my previous video I explained the basics of straight line graphs and the equation for a straight line, which is y is equal to mx plus c. Now, sometimes you don't actually get the equation in a nice form like that. So you might say, for example, I don't know, be asked to find the gradient of the line, and then it might say 2x minus 6 is equal to 3y or something like that. Okay, or maybe even let's do another one. So let's do that as A, and then let's do as B. Let's say it might be 6x minus 2y plus 7 equals 0. Something like that. Now, I explained earlier that the gradient is this letter here, m, which is in front of the x in the y equals mx plus c. The gradient is this one. So in order to find the gradient, what we need to do is rearrange the equation and put it into this form, y is equal to mx plus c. So in this case, what I would do here, I've already got 2x minus 6, and then I've just got 3y. So all I would need to do would be to divide through by this 3, and then write the equation the other way around. So I would write y is equal to, and then since I'm dividing by 3, I would need to divide the 2x by 3. So I would say 2/3 of x, or I could write 2x over 3, it's the same. And then minus, and then I'd need to do the 6 divided by 3, so it would be minus 2. Then the gradient is the number in front of the x, so the gradient would be this 2/3. So here I would say that m is equal to 2/3. Now, in this case, it's a little bit more complicated, but again, I would just need to rearrange it to get it in the form so it says y is equal to. So in this case, because I've got minus 2y here, what I would do is I would add 2y to both sides, move the 2y to this side. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to write it around the other way as well. So I would say that 2y is equal to, and then it should be 6x plus 7. Then what I would need to do would be to divide through by 2. So I would get y is equal to, and then 3x plus, and then I could write that as 7 over 2. That would be acceptable. If I wanted to, I could write that as 3.5 as well. But what I'm interested in here is the gradient. So the gradient here is this number in front of the x again. So the gradient would be m is equal to 3. So in this case here, the gradient is 3, and in this case here, the gradient is 2/3. So in both cases, I've found the gradient of the line. Now, another thing you might get asked to do is you might be asked to, for example, find the equation of the straight line through the points A, which can be 5, 3, and B, which can be minus 2, 6. Now, in this case, what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to find the equation using those points, and then have it in the form here, y is equal to mx plus c. So in order to do that, find the equation of the straight line through the points A here and B this, I'm going to first of all need to find the gradient. So the gradient, as I said in the previous video, is the gradient is the change in y divided by the change in x. So I'm just going to write that out as a formula. So I say that m is equal to, and then y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So what this is saying is the gradient is the change in y, so the large, or the second value of y take away the first value, so how much the y has changed, and then divided by the second value of x take away the first value of x. So that's the change in y, that's the change in x, divide those, and that's going to tell me what the gradient is. So in this question, m is going to be, so my y2 is going to be the second value of y, which is this 6 here, and then minus the first value of y, which is this 3 here. And then that's going to be divided by the second value of x, which is negative and then minus the first value of x, which is 5. So my gradient is going to equal 6 take away 3, which is 3, and O divided by -7. So I'll just write that as -3/7. Okay, once I know that, now I know that the form of my equation is going to be y is equal to mx plus c. I know that my m is -3/7, and what I can then do to work out what c is I can substitute in either of these 2 points. So I could substitute in 5, 3, or I could substitute in the -2, 6 to work out what this c is. So actually I'm going to do this with both just so you can see what happens. So if I say using point A, so I would say, so the y value would be 3, and then the x value has to be 5, so it's going to be -3/7 times 5 plus c. So in this case, I'm going to multiply that out, so 3 is going to equal -15/7 plus c. So then I would need to do 3 plus 15/7. So what I'm going to do is change that 3 to be in sevenths as well. So it would be 21/7 plus 15/7 is equal to c. So that means c would be 36/7. Okay, and then for the second one, I can use point B as well, just to show that I should get the same answer. So using point B, I would say, so for point B, the y is 6, so 6 should equal, and then -3/7 multiplied by the x, which was 6. No, multiplied by the x, which is -2, and then plus c. So in this case, I would get 6 is equal to, and then that's going to be 6/7 plus c. So this time c would be 6 take away 6/7. So again, I'm going to change the 6 into 7. So it's going to be 42/7 minus 6/7 is equal to c. So c is again going to be 36/7. So I can therefore be pretty sure that I've got it right. It's not strictly necessary to do both ways, but just to show you, you can use either one and you should get the same answer. So if I then get my straight line, so my equation then is going to be y is equal to mx plus c. So y is going to equal, and then my m was, I've forgotten already, -3/7, x plus 36/7. If I wanted to, I could then multiply by 7. So sometimes it asks you for in the form y equals mx plus c, or it might ask you in the form where it's ax plus by plus c is equal to 0. So if I was to do that form, I would multiply through by 7. So I'd say 7y is equal to -3x plus 36. And then what I would do is I would just put everything on the same side, make everything positive. So I'd have 3x plus 7y minus 36 equals 0. So I could give my equation answer in that form there, or I could also give it in that form there, depending on what the question asked for. All right, so either of those, that would be equation of the straight line that passed through these 2 points here, A and B. So using the gradient of the straight line, which is that there. Okay, now just to finish this off then, what I'm going to do is going to go through a question. So it says here, let's go back up to the top of the question. So it says the straight line L1 has the equation 2y minus 3x equal to 11, and point A has the coordinate 6, 0. Give a reason why L1 does not pass through A. All right, so what I would need to do on this one is I would just need to substitute in the values 6 and 0 and see whether this held true. So if A was on the line, then when I put in x is 6 and y is 0, this would equal to 11. So I would just try that out. So I would say that 2 times 0 minus 3 times 6, and I can see that that's -18, does not equal 11. So I then say hence not online. Okay, now B, it asks me for the gradient of L1, so what I need to do is rearrange that so it's in the form y equals mx plus c. So I'd start off by moving that 3x to the other side. So I'd say 2y is equal to 3x plus 11, and then y is equal to, divide everything by 2, 3 over 2x plus 11 over 2. So the gradient would be 3 over 2. All right, then it says line L2 is a line perpendicular to L1. The equation of L2 is y equals mx plus c. Write down the value of m. Now I mentioned in my previous video, not in this one yet, but in my previous video that lines, perpendicular lines, the gradients have to multiply by each other to make 1. So for perpendicular lines, m1 multiplied by m2 is equal to negative 1. So since my first gradient is 3 over 2, so for L2, m would have to be negative 2/3. So it's the negative reciprocal of this. This fraction, turn it up the other way, change it to negative. So then when I multiplied them, I'd get negative 6 over 6, and that would give me negative 1. And then it says line L2 does not pass through A. Does pass through A, find the value of C. So what I need to do then is use the value for point A to work out what C is. So for L2, at A, I would say y is equal to mx plus c. And then I would say the value of y is 0. And then it's going to be minus 2/3 times 6 plus c. So I would do that. I would get 0 is going to be, so that's going to be 12 over 3, so that's going to be minus 4 plus c. So c is equal to 4. That would be the end of the question. That's the answer there. It hasn't asked me for the equation. If it did ask me for the equation, I would just say that y is equal to minus 2/3 x plus 4. And that would be the equation for line L2.